GMGP. Good morning, good people. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to wake up with us. You're sick. You're sick in the head. There's a lot of fantasy football shows out there, but I promise y'all, they not like us. Brock Bowers, you looked a little quicker than fast. What does that even mean? Redraft, dynasty, best ball, high stakes, we got you covered.
And that's MVS and Justin Watson.
With some of the dopest tools designed to help you cancel out the noise and dominate your leagues.
If there's a white wide receiver named Antoine, sign me up.
Maybe it's cultural. I don't know. In season or off season, rain, sleet, hail, and snow,
comma, semicolon, period, next sentence.
to bring you the most actionable and entertaining content on YouTube. You don't go buy the dip on the Titanic.
Quarterback that you love, D-Bro. One of the best values in fantasy football.
Prop bets with my man JRich.
Yes! Let's go!
So wipe the crust out of your eye, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake y'all asses up with Ray
And Jay.
in the morning.
My God.
How good is
Dude.
he? How good is GMGP? It is Monday, October 14th, 2024. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with Ray and Jay. Appreciate y'all being here. We were out last week. We had vacation, but it's time. It's game time. Week 6 of the NFL season is almost in the books, and we got to talk about it, folks. Yeah, I am a die-hard Detroit Lions fan. Been here my entire life. Shout out to the Lions. Hell of a performance yesterday on national TV against those Dallas Cowboys. We will talk about JRich's squad, Drake May and the New England Patriots. Looking better with their young third overall pick. We got Lamar and Jaden Daniels. Joe Burrow struggling with the Giants last night. Philly in that disgusting game against the Cleveland Browns at home. We got a lot to talk about. Where my people at in the building, man? Have y'all missed us? Did y'all miss us? Marlon, what's happening with you? Ty DeClaire in the building. Ronnie Commander. Alex in the building. I don't know why y'all laughing. Garrison, Richie, Alex, Dynasty. Now, I've been here. I've been here all season. I told y'all about Amon-Ra a few years ago. We never left the JMO train. Jahmyr Gibbs is a stud. I've been here way long. JRich, how you doing, baby? Talk to me, JRich. How you doing, man? It's been a week, man.
Yeah, it's been a week. I'm good, though. I'm good. Yeah, we had a good week of football. When I popped in the stream this morning, I was like, damn, the Lions hat. Got to pay respect to the Lions.
It's my squad, man. It's my squad.
Been there since day one. Yeah, your
Day
Cowboys,
one.
not quite the same outcome as it was last season. But, it's happy to see you're happy, smiling on a day like today. You could be sad, you could be depressed, but you're here for the people. You brought the energy, and I'm very excited to be back with you again for the show, Ray.
Always here for the people. And y'all know Underdog Fantasy are the people who pays the bills. So make sure you go over there, use promo code ALLGAS, get up to $1,000 in bonus cash, and check out the Destination Dynasty episode that dropped this morning. Scott Connor, JRich, you put that up. Quick hitting episode, dynasty strategy, principles, little micro transactions you can make. Make sure you check out those guys, and shout out Dynasty Theory, who was on the channel yesterday doing the Stone Six show. So appreciate those guys. They drop content on the channel every single week as well. You know, Jay, as we watch these NFL games, man, we see these hats by New Era, these rainbow striped colored hats, man. It's all for a fantastic, amazing cause. Link is in our description. You get 10% off your New Era hats clicking the link in the description. But this is their Crucial Catch series by New Era. And each cap from this collection not only represents your favorite team, but also allows you to join the fight against cancer. It helps promote the prevention and early detection of cancer. Wear your colors proudly and help us tackle cancer head on with the official cap of Crucial Catch. Charitable contributions are awarded by the NFL Foundation to the American Cancer Society. So when you talk about hats for the best freaking cause that you can have out there, got a neighbor right next to us, man, young woman who's going through breast cancer right now herself, Jay. Battle with Becca. So support this movement, support these hats, and wear your Crucial Catch hats by New Era, some of the people that also pay the bills for us over here at DD Fantasy Football. Jay, let's get into some quick injury news because I want to spend a lot of time talking about the games and really talking about the players in these games and how we might think about those guys moving forward. Got some rookies that hit the mix. Drake May, you got the jersey on. as we all can see. I know you've been waiting.
I've
That's
been waiting, right?
It's been in the closet as long as that damn Lakers jacket I got on in there that has still got the tags on it. But hit us with the injury news. What happened around the league this past week?
Yeah, I think the biggest story when you talk about injury news has to be Aiden Hutchinson, who broke his fibula and is out for the season. That was a gruesome, devastating injury. All prayers up to Aiden Hutchinson. People are saying it could be a full 12-month recovery period for him. Absolutely shattered his entire leg. So prayers up to Aiden Hutchinson and that Lions defense, because obviously he's a massive part of it, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And you just hate to see a player of his caliber go down, especially for a team who has title and especially at least NFC Championship aspirations. So tough to see Hutch go down, but let's move forward because we also got an injury out of Arizona. Marvin Harrison Jr., Ray, suffered a concussion. We'll see what his status is heading into week 7, but we've seen this happen with Malik Neighbors where he missed multiple weeks, even coming off a Thursday night concussion. Most are usually at least a week. But we'll see what Marvin Harrison Jr.'s status is. He's probably not going to play this week. At least that's how things have been trending this season. And we'll see for the subsequent weeks following that. We also had on Thursday Night Football the Jordan Mason shoulder injury. Now, it was reported on Friday as a minor AC joint sprain. He's considered day-to-day for now, mostly pain management, and should be good to go against the Chiefs this week. But we'll have to see how status reports play out. Isaac Grendel obviously did look great, and I'm sure we'll talk about him a little bit. But Jordan Mason is dealing with a shoulder injury, so we'll have to monitor his status throughout the week. Travis Etienne, Ray, also suffered a hamstring injury in London. For anyone who started them in fantasy, I'm sure you were grossly disappointed because he didn't even amass 1 yard. He finished with negative 1 yards. But once again, Travis Etienne disappoints. This time it was due to injury, but I think we all kind of have seen this coming over the past few weeks. He has been dealing with injuries, but he also hasn't been playing very well. It's hard to gauge both those sides, but T-Law did have a good performance this game. And then last but not least, Chris Olave suffered a concussion. They do play on Thursday, so do not expect Chris Olave to be active. But on the bright side, if you are, a Shaheed supporter or a Saints fan, Pat Surtain also suffered a concussion as well. So he's probably not going to be playing in that game. So a big part of the Broncos defense also going to be inactive for the Broncos. But we'll see. Sean Payton versus his old team should be exciting for Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, man. The Hutchinson injury sucked. It happened when he sacked Dak Prescott. He sacked and football, man. It's just a brutal game. Like I really just sit back and watch it, and it is the one of the few sports that the injury rate is 100%. Like you're going to get hurt. You're going to get banged up. You just hope it's nothing debilitating that's going to knock you out for the entire season. But here we are, week 6. It's injuries galore, more star players underperforming and losing one of the best players, defensive players in the league. Hell, one of the best players overall in Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Definitely not good for the Detroit Lions, but all prayers up to him because that was bad injury for Hutch in Detroit. But we had a lot of games popping off this past Sunday, man. I want to start with some quick hitters, and these are some players, some teams that we're not going to spend a ton of time on because we really want to talk through some of the bigger names, some of the bigger storylines. But there was a young rookie who got it popping early. Talk about it. Kamani Vidal got in the action, JRich. I know there was a lot of people out there excited about Kamani Vidal this week for the Chargers. We'll talk about the Chargers a little bit. J.K. Dobbins, it was all J.K. Dobbins. 25 carries for Dobbins. Vidal didn't do much on the ground. I think he had 4 for 11, but he did catch this nice pass route from Justin Herbert, got in the end zone. I think got this thing started. Yeah, broke the 0-0 game in this one. So Kamani Vidal, good for him, but moving forward, do you have I think there's interest in him, but it's still J.K. Dobbins, right, Jay?
Yeah, until the Chargers show that they're willing to give him more carries on the ground, I think you have to assume it's just J.K. Dobbins. This is great. It was his first NFL touch. It was an exciting touchdown. It was a great throw from Herbert. Great play design. Vidal can do things both in the running game and in the passing game. I think that's what makes him exciting. But until they give him more rushing volume, we can't quite feel great about starting him week to week. You see this highlight here by Bo Nix. Bo Nix once again led the Broncos in rushing. I believe he had 60 rushing yards this game. He's been dynamite, man. For everything he isn't as a passer, he definitely gets it done on the ground, and you see it in this scramble alone. But Ray, how do you feel about Bo Nix right now? Because he's not great as a quarterback, but for fantasy, he's actually been all right.
Listen, this entire rookie class, Nix, Daniels, Caleb Williams, what we saw out of his first start from Drake May, It's encouraging. This was Sean Payton's guy. He handpicked him. He's making plays with his legs. He made a couple of throws this game. I feel fine about Bo Nix. I'll tell you what, I bet you Denver feels in a lot better shape than where Carolina feels with their quarterback situation. So that's all I have to say about Bo Nix. He's playing fine. He's a rookie quarterback thrust into a very difficult situation, and I think he's stacking weeks. He's stacking weeks. So we'll see. Still a lot of work to do, but he's stacking weeks, and that's a lot more than you could say about Anthony Richardson or Bryce Young right now. The Raiders continue to look like absolute shit, but it is Brocktober, and he is about the only thing cooking from Las Vegas. You want Brock Bowers. When in doubt, Brock Bowers is balling. Joe Flacco did start over Anthony Richardson. He wasn't very good himself, but the Colts got the win. Tony Pollard is about all you want out of Tennessee right now. Tajay Spears is hurt. Calvin Ridley's pissed off. Will Levis, we talked about him with John Daigle and Josh Norris. If y'all don't know, I'm filling in for Hayden Winks over there on Josh and Hayden's Fantasy channel, so pop in Sunday nights, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'll be doing rankings over there, so appreciate those guys for letting me steal some of the time on their airwaves and their phenomenal channel. Yeah, Ridley stinks. I think Will Levis might get replaced, JRich. It might be time for Tennessee to go in a different direction here in Week 7. What do you think?
I'd say we're just about there, right? We've already seen Callahan's kind of unwillingness to give him opportunity. And you even look at that Tony Pollard touchdown, 3rd and 19, and they run a draw play. What does that say about their confidence in Will Levis to not make a mistake on 3rd and 19? It just so happened that Tajay Spears ran it into the end zone. You see Flacco on the screen here throwing up that nice touchdown to Josh Downs, Ray. Yeah. Josh Downs, a player I was very excited for this season. Year 2 out of North Carolina. Kind of wish he could have been paired up with Drake May, but it is what it is. And Downs is looking good with Flacco, but I think the harder part for us in fantasy is we all know Anthony Richardson's going to come back, and that's kind of the more concerning part, is that Will Levis needs to be replaced, but we don't necessarily want Joe Flacco to be replaced by Anthony Richardson right now for fantasy.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We talked about this again last night. Flacco was fine, but he didn't do anything that if I think this was more so A-Rich got in, I think, 2 of 3 limited practices. I don't know if that hip was totally 100%. I think it's one of two things. And I asked Josh Norris flat out, do you think this was a quote-unquote benching that they don't want to say that A-Rich was benched, or was it a product of him not being 100%, them thinking Joe Flacco can get them through Tennessee? The other little theory is maybe this was the pullback. Hey, man, sit your ass down for a minute, watch the veteran, slow things down, we'll put you back in. I think it's more so the injury. He wasn't 100%, but this performance out of Flacco, man, if you saw the touchdown to Pittman, he just threw that shit up. Like, he just threw it up, and Pittman went and got it. Beautiful play design to Josh Downs, but Flacco was nothing special in this matchup either. Hey, man, the Steelers and them folks keep talking about Russell Wilson is 100%. That shit don't matter, Jay.
They are.
It is Justin Fields' team. 2 rushing touchdowns on the day. Didn't do much through the air, but on the ground, this is Fields' team, right?
I would say so. Yeah, he's doing enough and not making enough mistakes to warrant a benching, in my opinion. He's winning the games he needs to win. He's had a couple surprising wins as well. But I think, you look at this team, and they're going to rely on the defense, and Fields is doing enough to consider starting going forward. I think it would only be if they were really concerned about the passing upside, because it doesn't seem like that's really there, especially in bad situations and against better defenses. But against a team like the Raiders, putting up 30 points is what you should expect from a Steelers team that is more of a dynamic running attack than passing attack. But Fields, I think, has been good enough in his own right to where you should be pretty happy with what he's done, and I think the Steelers should continue starting him.
That's a great segue, because the Steelers running back room, a lot of people think Najee Harris is the plotter and Jaylen Warren is the explosive one. Jaylen Warren made his way back last game, yesterday, 6 carries, 7 yards. He looked like the plotter. And then you had Najee Harris doing this, JRich. I mean, Najee is bouncing off of folks, probably his longest run since high school, 30-something yards for a touchdown. I mean, look at Najee getting through the all. And big people, I know that he may not be the most efficient, Jay, but he's always on the field. He's always available, and Pittsburgh is going to continue to give him the damn ball 15 to 20 times a game. You just got to play him, man. You just got to play him.
Yeah, I still feel like Najee's a little bit matchup dependent, right? Against the Raiders,
man,
you expect him to have a good game. You're just going to play him?
Dude. You just got to play him. You just got to take the opportunity. You got to take the carries. and you just play. Shit, you're running Ramondre Stevenson out there every single week. You're putting out. Come on, man. Like we're doing.
Would you play him against the Jets next week?
I don't care, man. I don't care. I'm playing. You just at this point at this critical junction of the 2024 season that is fantasy football, I am very happy if I've got a starting running back that's going to get 15 carries. I don't care how damn inefficient it is because the sun will shine on a dog's ass every now and then, and you see Najee Harris getting into the zone. This was a 40. This was probably a 6'3", 40-yard dash.
I don't know who looked slower in the open field, Najee Harris or Joe Mixon when he busted
game speed, baby. It doesn't matter. Touchdown, Najee Harris, man. What else? What other quick hitters do we have? Oh, Geno Smith looked awful on Thursday. We're not going to talk a lot. We're not going to talk a lot about the Seattle Seahawks. We like Geno Smith on this show, man. When they write us off, JRich, they tried to wake up off. We didn't write back. So we are big Geno Smith fans. But Geno was not good on Thursday Night Football. DK Metcalf wrote checks his ass couldn't cash. Isaac Guerrero should be a waiver wire pickup. And the San Francisco 49ers continue to tell us Christian McCaffrey is ramping it up. And they just know that he'll be
not
back
playing
after
this week,
week 10. He's coming back. He's playing this week?
No, he's not playing this week. I already reported he's not playing this week.
I was about to say, I thought it was week
because
10.
It's the Chiefs game, right? So people are like, well, is Christian going to come back? Jordan Mason injury, all that stuff. But yeah, he's not coming back this week for sure.
Hey, my last quick hitting takeaway, really, and again, we talked about this last night on the show. Brock Purdy is legit. Like what he's doing with this team, with the injuries on the defensive side of the ball, what he's had to deal with offensively. I'm watching him on Thursday, Jay, and I'm like, man, this dude he's for real. Like he has gotten better this season than he was. Like he's playing better this year than he did last year. Pay the man. When I'm watching Purdy and I'm thinking, man, would I rather him or Dak Prescott as my quarterback of the future for the next 5 years? This is going to be a big test for him versus this Kansas City team that I'm probably going to rank number 1 in my power ranking stream tomorrow on Bleacher Report. Make sure y'all pull up 12 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be doing a power ranking stream over on Bleacher Report. We want to run it up. I want 1,000 people in there, and I believe this stream that I'm going to do is also going to be shown on True TV the day after. So if you missed the stream on the app, check out True TV. Your boy be on Wednesday over there representing for Bleacher Report. But Purdy, if he performs well versus this tough Kansas City defense, it's going to be hard for a lot of people not to get that man his respect, Jay.
Yeah, you look even this game, right? So this one isn't home. It's the America's Game of the Week on Sunday at 4:30 Eastern time. But even look after that, right? They got your Cowboys, so not a bad matchup for them. The Bucs, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Bills, the Bears, who are looking better every single week. So while their schedule is just kind of, it seemed tough to start, it's still heating up. But Purdy has been playing very well. I think the biggest surprise, honestly, for me, is how much he's had to run around back there, whether it's the protection or players not getting open. Purdy's had to do a lot with his legs this season, but he's, I think, answered just about every task he's been given outside of the Minnesota game where, I mean, name a quarterback who's looked good against Minnesota. You can't find one. But I think that Niners are back, and I was happy to see them win. We talk about how is this finally the Niners going away a little bit this past week when I did the power rankings while you were away. It's finally a get-right game for them. They're back on track, and I think we could say the same about the Cincinnati Bengals as well.
Bengals, we'll talk about it. Since you brought it up, talk about that Cincinnati game. Since it was the Sunday Night Football game, the Bengals got it done versus the New York Giants. No Malik Neighbors in this one. A little disappointing that we didn't get Neighbors again in this matchup. Still out with the concussion. But let's talk about this. Joe Burrow, the running back, Joe Burrow, was balling out with his legs on the ground. Got Jamar Chase involved a little bit. Cincinnati won 17-7. What are your big takeaways from this matchup, Jay?
I'm just happy that the Bengals got a win. That's literally it. Outside of that, there's nothing really to take away from this game, unless you want to say, well, the defense played well, because they actually did. They didn't allow 30 points, which was great. They only allowed 7 against the Giants. Even without Malik Neighbors, we've seen the Seahawks allow almost 30 points to the Giants in a game. So I think it's for them, it's just a positive step on defense. The offense kind of is what it is. It can't put up 30 points every single week. You shouldn't expect that. The Giants defense and the Giants team in general is better than we expected. And I think we kind of continue to see this week in, week out. But the biggest takeaway is the defense looked competent for once, and the offense was fine, but did enough to win the game. I think they just needed to get a win, and I'm glad they got it on Sunday night.
And Zach Moss shit the bed for you if you started him. Just all bad. Just put 6 for 13. Chase Brown ripped off that last game ceiling touchdown run that really kind of padded his stats, made his day look a little bit better. T. Higgins, 7 for 77. Chase, 5 for 72. And Yoshi Voss hit his under 2.5. Thank goodness, because it was a bad betting day for you, boy. There wasn't much else from the Cincinnati side of the ball. This game was a drag. Darius Slayton led the way with 11 targets. He and Tyrone Tracy tied with 6 receptions, 57 yards. Tracy gave you 50 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown, and Daniel Jones was not very good. This was a boring game. It wasn't a very fun game to watch. And if
Tracy was good, right?
Chase, you said what?
I said Tracy was good, but we kind of expected that against this Bengals defense, which is awful.
If you didn't have Tracy or Joe Burrow or Chase Brown, you really didn't get a lot out of this matchup from Cincinnati and the Giants. Let's talk about a more entertaining game, one that everybody was looking forward to, probably one of the most anticipated matchups of the early season because you've got 2 young quarterbacks who were being considered MVP candidates this year. And I think there is one player that walked out of this, and I don't know what the projected odds are right now, Jay, but it does feel like Lamar Jackson is back on his MVP bullshit because he is balling right now, Jay. He was 20 for 26 for 323, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He had 40 yards on the ground. He got Zay Flowers involved in the action early in this matchup, and Mark Andrews found the end zone. Derrick Henry continues to run through the NFL. Talk about the Baltimore Ravens and their 30-23 victory. They're 4-2 right now on the season, 3rd in the AFC, and I think they're one of the best teams in the NFL despite their record.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of laid the land of what the Baltimore Ravens are. We talked about how the first couple weeks for them were tough. The Chiefs game, obviously, they lost the game. It was a close one. Lamar didn't play overly well. The offense didn't play overly well. Then they come back with the stinker against the Raiders. But then you knew it was decision time for the Baltimore Ravens. Are they going to play like this, or are they going to turn things around and play well? And you saw that ever since they came back-to-back massive rushing performances with Derrick Henry. Now, you don't just see the rushing attack, but you see the balance. You see Zay Flowers being involved. I believe he has back-to-back 100-yard games. Yep. You see Lamar Jackson playing at a very high level. You talk about MVP, second only behind Patrick Mahomes right now. And so you look at this team, and I would just wish to God we could get this team and the way they're playing right now against the Chiefs, because I feel like it would be a potentially different outcome than we saw in week 1. I think the Baltimore Ravens are humming right now. They're playing at a very, very high level. Ray, do you think they're playing as the best team in the NFL, or would you still give that to the Chiefs? Because I think they are right up there, especially with the performance against a team like the Commanders. Real
talk, Jay. It's hard to not rank Kansas City as the number 1 team because they're 5-0. They're the reigning Super Bowl champs. I like the way Baltimore's playing, and you nailed it. It's the balance in which they're playing. They are running the ball. I believe Lamar and Derrick Henry have the most combined rushing yards for a quarterback-running back duo at this point in like the last 50 years or in NFL history. It's some ridiculous stat like that. I'm trying to find that. I think they are playing some of the best football, at least offensively. Zay Flowers, I'm watching the game, and I'm like, he's finally transformed into Antonio Brown Jr. Like, this is the guy that a lot of people kind of compare to A.B. Light without the off-field drama. He looks like the real freaking deal. Like you said, back-to-back 100-yard games. And it does seem like they have pulled back on Mark Andrews' usage to use him in other ways. And I do think likely was still targeted a lot in this game as well. Lamar looked his way as well. I think it's going to be one of those. Yeah, every week it's going to be one of those tight ends involved to some degree. Probably a lot of red zone opportunity, but love the way that Baltimore's playing. Zay Flowers taking his game to another level. Lamar playing like an MVP, and Derrick Henry playing like he wants to win the rushing championship. Once again, on the other side of the ball, Jaden Daniels. I thought this was going to be a big test for JD5. This was going to be a very difficult defense that you can't really run against. Baltimore and the Commanders could not do that. They are susceptible through the air, and Jaden Daniels took advantage of them through the air. 2 touchdown passes in this one, no interceptions, was sacked a couple of times. But you walk away, and I think heading into Sunday night, he was still a top 8 quarterback on the week versus this defense. Jaden Daniels is a superstar. They lost this game. I still believe in the Commanders at 4-2 because of their quarterback play. What do you think about Jaden Daniels' performance in this one, albeit a losing effort? Still looked good to me.
Yeah, I thought he was great. You know, you talk about teams preparing for a player like Jaden Daniels. What team is more prepared for a player like Jaden Daniels than the Baltimore Ravens, right? They go against Lamar Jackson every week in practice, and they understand the types of things you have to do to contain these rushing quarterbacks. And I felt this was the first time where JD5 was truly unsure. Do I step up and run? Do I go outside? He wasn't making the right decision because of how difficult the defense played him. They showed him certain looks, and when he checked it down, they already had the check down covered because they knew where he wanted to go with the ball. And so I think when you play against a team like the Ravens, especially at the level they're playing at right now, it felt like they had more answers for JD5 than we've seen all season long. And especially when it talks about keeping him in the pocket and containing him, that's where they're going to be better than just about every team in the NFL because of the player they have to play against every week in practice in Lamar Jackson. So I think it's just a case of a defense that was very well prepared and knew what to do to play against a quarterback like JD5. But I also think in his own right, he played a phenomenal game and kept his team competitive. But when you can't run the ball, which they couldn't, and that really is what makes his job so much easier, is that threat to run, to open up the passing game on the back end. But you look at his 2 touchdowns to Terry McLaurin, they're both ridiculous passes, especially the second one on fourth down in the corner of the end zone. Like, you can't take that away from the kid. It was just a great performances on both sides, but the Ravens are the better team, and they showed that on Sunday.
Yeah, here goes that one to Terry in the corner. Like, this was just... It was great coverage by Stevens. This was great coverage. It's pinpoint accuracy. You're dealing with a future face of this NFL. Jaden Daniels, incredible. It was a tough matchup for him, but I like the way that he came out of this thing. And I think there are good things to come for Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders as we move forward. Jay, let's just get to it. It's next up on the show docket. It's next up on the list.
Turn the hat around.
Cowboys. My Dallas Cowboys. I mean, it was like trolling to the 100th power. They did shit that my son does on that. I mean, trick plays. Penei Sewell is playing quarterback, RPOs. They're putting Dan Skipper in the slot and having him run sluggos. I mean, it is just, they put foot in where, JRich?
In ass.
In ass. They put foot in ass. Sam Laporta here, this was only catch. Only catch. If I told you Sam Laporta was going to, Jay, if I told you Sam Laporta was going to have 1 catch, Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't going to have 50 yards, do you think Dallas had a shot? The answer would probably be, hell yeah, Ray. Yeah, I had a shot. Amon-Ra only had 30 yards? You held Amon-Ra to 30. You held Laporta to 1 catch, and you got beat down 72-9? What the Dallas? They're a bad team. They're a bad team, and it starts from the top. I said this on this show at the start of the season. I would not be shocked that they're picking top 10 in the NFL draft. This team isn't good. They can't block. There's no run game. There's no wide receiver opposite CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott is unsure of himself. They can't stop the run. They've got nobody in the secondary that's healthy. They are a fraudulent 3-3 team. The Detroit Lions are a real Super Bowl contending team, and that's what happens when you have a fraud up against a true contender. You get foot put in ass, and you get Penei Sewell juking out cornerbacks trying to dive into the end zone. It was an embarrassing performance. If you are a fan of the Dallas Cowboys today, there is no silver lining. There is no moral victory, no concessions. You got your shit kicked in. This is a bad team. The Lions made it happen, and if you started anybody from Detroit outside of Gibbs for the most part, your production was there, but it was minuscule because you were playing a JV team, and they didn't even have to play the whole damn game. I really don't have anything else to say, Jay. This was an embarrassing performance for the Dallas Cowboys, and the Lions did whatever they wanted to. It was BK, have it your way in Arlington. The king, the Whopper, not Derrick Henry, the Whopper king was calling defensive plays. Take it, Jay. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I mean, for people who forget what happened last season, I wasn't entirely shocked that the Lions came into this game and wanted to dominate the Cowboys. They had a heartbreaking loss last season where they felt like the refs kind of screwed them at the end of the game. The Cowboys got that victory. I was at that game. It was an insane environment, insane game. But yeah, you see the hook and lateral here to Penei Sewell ended up being
Look,
called
he's
back
got a
for an
hezzy.
illegal shift.
He does a hezzy. Like he's
an
out
athlete.
there. And Jay, on this play, I think there was a penalty. They're laughing.
Yeah,
They're
illegal
The
shift.
coaches are laughing. Goddamn owners laughing in the box. They're just having a grand old time that this 400-pound lineman is running reverses on the Dallas Cowboys on their home field. Nobody loses at home on primetime in spectacular fashion like the Dallas Cowboys. Just terrible, Jay.
Man, their point differential at home this year has to be so bad after getting blown out by the Lions and now by the Saints as well. But yeah, Jared Goff was great in this game. Near perfect passer rating, 18 for 25, 315, 3 touchdowns. You're happy if you started Jared Goff, but he definitely spread the ball around a bit. Tim Patrick, Ray, got back involved. 63 yards for Tim Patrick on 3 receptions.
Oh, yeah,
Almost
your boy,
scored.
Tim Patrick.
Fell
There
short.
it is.
Yeah, baby. Let's go. Yeah, but nothing to take away from the Cowboys. I think the question, Ray, and we talked about this, I believe, 2 or 3 shows ago before we went away, was CeeDee Lamb, right? We talked about Nico Collins.
Yes.
And how he is a top 5 receiver in the NFL right now. For fantasy purposes, we like him and rate him very highly. But CeeDee Lamb is a question mark for a lot of reasons. He got 14 targets, only had 89 yards, didn't score in this game, 7 receptions. Not saying you won't take that, but what do you think it is with CeeDee Lamb and why he's not producing necessarily at the highest high we expect, especially with the target competition we have in Dallas, which is basically nobody at this point right now?
Well, I mean, they couldn't see anything, Jay. Look at this. They couldn't see. Dak's throwing into the eclipse. He's throwing into the solar eclipse, looking up at the damn thing, no glasses on. What are we doing, Dallas? Who designed this shit? What? Jay.
I don't know why they don't just close it or tint
Just
it.
close
do
the
something.
blinds, man. Put some curtains up. Put some window shades up. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's only when you're looking at the Cowboys, Jay, it's CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson's limping around out there or bust. They can't run the ball.
They can't do
Rico
nothing on the ground.
Dowdle, there's a lot of they
5 for
cannot run the
25.
ball. The offensive line is a problem. They can't stop anybody on defense. They've got the worst run defense in the NFL. And I think their upcoming schedule is not favorable. I do not believe that the Cowboys...
Well, they play the Niners, right?
Yeah, they got the Niners.
So they're on bye
good.
this week. So they're on bye this week. Then they got the Niners, Falcons, Eagles, Texans, Commanders, Giants, Bengals, Panthers. So they got a solid 6 tough games in a row.
Yeah, it's CeeDee, and he's not even producing for us the way that we drafted him. I can't think of a first round, man. I'm just thinking about the guys we were drafting in round 1, underdog ADP, millions of drafters. Jay, they know there's money on the line. Puka Nacua, bust, first round. Hurt, bust, goddamn.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb
Christian
underperforming.
McCaffrey.
Jamar Chase, sure. Garrett Wilson, not so good. Marvin Harrison, disgusting. Why the hell was he a first-round pick in the first place? Made no sense whatsoever. It has been Breece Hall has been not good.
It's just Amon-Ra, right? Amon-Ra's been good. He's the lone survivor. Him and Jefferson to some extent, because Jefferson scores every week, right?
A.J. Brown, the 2 games that he played, he's been great.
When he plays. Yeah, when he plays.
2 games he's played, he's been great. Bijan got it going this week.
Breece, still waiting on Breece to show up. Tonight, though. Tonight, big matchup against the Bills. Against the Bills.
It's a good matchup. All right,
bad run defense.
I gotta get a drink of water. I need a break. I need to hit the blunt real quick. Let's run the likes up. We'll be back. Appreciate y'all pulling up. This is the Wake Up with Ray and J show. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Like the stream, like the content, comment below. Let us know what y'all think about week 6, some of the big takeaways that y'all had. And tap into everything that we do. The podcast, radio feed, ton of different content creators. I talked about it at the start of the show. New Era Hats is one of the people that help power this show, and they've got their Crucial Catch series to help the fight against cancer. So there's a link in the description. Make sure you click that link. You get 10% off any hat at New Era. And man, let's battle cancer together in style with the NFL. Crucial Catch by New Era. JRich, there is a quarterback that a lot of people were getting worried about. A lot of people, a little worried. Not us. Said, don't panic. Give him time. Everything's going to be okay. Finally, we could show up, and in week 6, he no longer gets the Tyrese Halliburton Award for getting an Olympic medal for doing absolute nothing. Caleb Williams was the reason why the Chicago Bears looked so good and were able to dominate against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Across the pond in London, Caleb Williams was doing it all. He was making plays with his legs. They finally stopped playing around with Gerald Everett. They got Cole Kmet involved. Remember, a lot of people thought Cole Kmet was dead, Jay.
Yep.
Caleb Williams was balling, looked all of everything. Why they picked him number 1 overall. DeAndre Swift was also phenomenal. Keenan Allen, 2 touchdowns from Keenan Allen, which just hurts Rome Odunze. It hurts him so much. But talk about Caleb Williams' performance overseas versus Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb's had a good run of matchups the past few weeks. We've seen the progression. We've seen him get better and better every single week. We saw it last week against the Panthers. You saw it again this week against the Jaguars. 23 for 29, 226, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, which unfortunately for him happened. And then you still got 56 on the ground as well. But you look at the way he played, the command of the offense, and especially the way he distributed the ball to his pass catchers, Ray. The scary thing for me is it reminds me a lot of this Green Bay offense. And you know I'm a big fan of Matt LaFleur and his Green Bay offense and Luke Getsy coming from Green Bay and that offensive style. But to get the ball to all the playmakers, Kmet with 5 targets, Keenan Allen with 5 targets, Swift with 4 targets, DJ Moore with 5, Roschon Johnson with 3. They're spreading the ball around a lot, which for fantasy kind of sucks. But for Caleb, it's great. And it's the reason why you have to believe that he does have extremely high upside in this offense because they do have a lot of playmakers. And he has lots of options to get the ball to. And when they're running the ball effectively, which for the past 2 weeks they have, and this is more of a litmus test for this defense, or for this offense, because the Jaguars are more of a pass funnel, right? They're much worse against the pass and are decent against the run, but we saw Swift be effective, and it paid off for them on the back end. Caleb got loose as well, but I thought he did a great job managing not only the offense, but also playing great, especially in a tougher environment being in London, just dealing with all of that for the first time compared to the Jaguars who do it every single season and still got slapped in primetime.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it feels like it. I think you hit the nail on the head with that Green Bay type situation. Green Bay, San Francisco, where you've got a lot of weapons and you're truly banking on the efficiency of the offense. You know, Keenan Allen didn't get 20 targets, and he still found a way to be useful for us in fantasy football. When you've got a running back who's heavily involved, who's getting 20 opportunities, when you've got a tight end who's going to get 5 to 7 opportunities. You've got 3 pass catchers who are going to be involved in the offense, and you also have a quarterback who's going to run the ball 4 to 6 times per game. Somebody's going to get squeezed out on a week-to-week basis. You know, every week it's not going to be DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze and Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift, but it's much like San Francisco, much like Green Bay. You try to identify those matchups where you've got a pass funnel or run funnel defense. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, while I want to give Caleb his just due today, this defense is very bad. This defense is a funnel. They are very exploitable. They are a mess offensively. And this was one where I thought Trevor Lawrence played probably his best game of the season this game. Trevor Lawrence was not the reason why Jacksonville lost this game. Multiple turnovers by the Jags, fumbles, the defense, they can't stop anybody. It's just going to be one of those weeks where you kind of just, you're going to have to start DJ Moore every week. You're going to start Keenan Allen every week when he's active. You're going to play DeAndre Swift, and you have to start Cole Kmet. The real option on a week-to-week basis is what do you do with Rome Odunze? And I think he's probably best served to deploy if one of the top 2 pass catchers is absent.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a case of there's too many chefs in the kitchen, and he's been the guy who's going to be kind of asked out more often than not. He actually, arguably had a better game than DJ Moore did, but on a week-to-week basis, we expect DJ Moore to see consistent volume. I think that's the big difference here. When you're looking at this team, you look to the top targets. This week, it was Kmet and Allen, who both had 2 touchdowns, which kind of sucked in terms of spreading the wealth a little bit, but DJ Moore is a player we consistently are going to rank high because he always has high touchdown upside. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's great for Caleb, but Odunze is the one that you could probably do without starting week to week because the consistency is just not going to be there.
All right, Jay, let's go and talk about the Green Bay Packers and the Arizona Cardinals game. I had to watch this one for the show that we did on Underdog for Sunday night. I'll just say this was not much of a game. Green Bay got out early. They put foot in ass in the first half. Kyler Murray didn't complete his first pass. He completed his third pass of the game, Jay. Kyler Murray completed his third pass of the game with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the half.
It took him that long to complete his third pass?
He completed his third pass with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the half. Marvin Harrison was injured. They couldn't throw the ball to anybody. Michael Wilson, if you watch the Trinity video, I talked about him as being a player that's used just as much as Marvin Harrison over the past 3 games. Marv went out. Michael Wilson scored a touchdown. But overall, the offense just did not look well. James Conner was banged up, which let Trey Benson get some carries. I don't know Arizona's offensive identity. Like, do they want to run the ball? Do they want to pass the ball? But they really can't do either. And when Kyler Murray gets behind, it's just not good, man. It's just not good. I'm watching him, and you see all of the things that make him an awesome fantasy asset, and then I also see why he's never had a 4,000-yard passing season. I'm just like, he's awesome, he's great, but there's something where I'm watching him, and I'm watching Jordan Love play free, play fast, and I'm like, this dude is really effing good. Jordan Love, they're in the throw that he can't make. I'm going to point you to a play. Everybody out there. It was a completion, about a 20-yard completion, 8 minutes and 30 seconds into the second quarter of the game. He progresses left to right, 1, 2, 3 reads, comes backside to Christian Watson over the middle of the field. Beautiful throw, Jay. And at that point, I'm like, oh, he's on his bullshit. It's going to be one of them games from Jordan Love. Jaden Reed got involved, touchdown. Romeo Doubs, anybody that's in the DD community, did I not talk about Romeo Doubs on the private Trinity episode? I said, I bet you he's the one that gets the grease this week. All that shit about him not being involved in the offense, I said, I bet you we walk out of Sunday and Romeo Doubs is the player that balled out for Green Bay, and he did absolutely that. Here's the beauty about Green Bay and what Jordan Love, what they do. And I'm starting to think, Jay, this might be this new trend pattern in the NFL where you don't see a lot of these, you're getting 20 targets a week like the Jets did Garrett Wilson. You look at Green Bay's target distribution, it was all still very tight, like 6, 5, 4, 3, all of them. But you just got these efficient offenses that can run the ball. They're schemed up well. Guys are going to get 5 to 6 opportunities, but damn it, it could be worth it. And you're seeing that happen in Green Bay. Jordan Love is playing out of his mind right now. They didn't do shit in the second half. They had 6 receptions by pass catchers in the second half. It was all first half. They didn't even need them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a weekly thing for me. It feels like it's just on repeat every week, Ray. The praise I continue to have for Matt LaFleur, for Jordan Love, for this offense. Like, these are not highly drafted players they're doing this with. Like, Christian Watson, yeah, he could have been a first rounder, but he's been hurt for basically his entire career. Jaden Reed, second rounder from the Senior Bowl, who was phenomenal when we saw him, but didn't expect this. Yeah, well, this throw to Dobbs was
just
insane.
This is ridiculous.
Insane.
I mean, back foot, fadeaway jumper, stop.
Adjustment by Dobbs to make that play. It's just balls. There's something about the team, man. He continues to surprise me every week. The throws he makes, the confidence he has, and I think the best part about Love is that it's not just the confidence he has as a quarterback, because it's not just that. It's the confidence that stems from the entire organization to say, keep throwing it. Keep throwing those tight windows. Keep throwing those balls, because he's been throwing interceptions plenty of times this season. But they continue to dial up the shot plays, and it's paying off for them. And it's what makes them one of the most dangerous offenses in the NFL, in my opinion, because Josh Jacobs was inefficient running the ball. They still got Emmanuel Wilson involved, and he played pretty well. But the fact that you still have all these shot plays dialed up week in and week out is why I love watching the Packers and another 30-piece put on the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, and again, if he's out there in leagues, doubtful, but if Michael Wilson is available, I would pick him up. The usage
He's very good.
is there. With Marvin Harrison Jr. probably missing a week due to the concussion. Yep. I mean, it looked pretty bad till he got up and fell back down. I don't know if you saw the concussion play, but Marv got hit. His neck got crunched in. He got up, took a step, fell back down. Michael Wilson could be in play. And after
they got
Marvin
the
Harrison
Chargers this
Jr.
week.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup. Trey McBride was fed after the injury as well, Jay. But we're not going to get out of here without talking about your boy, Drake May. Look at I haven't seen Robert Kraft so damn happy in a long time. Drake May in the New England Patriots. We're not even going to talk about C.J. Stroud. We knew the Texans were going to put. We knew the Texans were going to put foot in New England's ass. We knew that. What we wanted to see, what we did not know, is would Drake May look good, Jay? And listen, Jay, I'm going to toot my horn when I've said some things that were correct, because when I'm wrong, damn it, I'll call it out. There were some patrons who asked me, Ray, what are your expectations this week for Drake May? Private Discord channel. You need to join patreon.com/allgas or go to ddfantasyfootball.com. Use the Trinity tracker. Get in the community. My answer was my expectations aren't high. This is a tough matchup versus Houston. But A, it can't get any damn worse than it was with Jacoby Brissett. And two, when you've got a quarterback that can play free, that won't be afraid to push the ball downfield, that has mobility, I believe that Drake May, you can start him and get fantasy points. Going into Sunday night, he was a top 10 quarterback on the week. He was right under 20 fantasy points on the week because they're just going to let him throw. He can play free. He's not worried about job security. I started him in a league. Scott Fishbowl, put him right up there. Got me 20 points on the week. You've got the jersey on. This is your squad. You have been praying for a quarterback of the future, and you were very nervous about New England putting Drake May behind this offensive line against this team. They did it. They lost the game. But I think if your takeaway as a Pats fan is you're excited about the future.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the way this game started. Everyone who didn't watch it, right? Drake May threw a brutal pick on his second or third pass of the game, way over the receiver's head. And you just have to imagine it's nerves. It's one of his first passes. They opened the drives by back-to-back halfback dives in classic Patriots fashion, not kind of unleashing Drake May. But to your point, once he threw the first pick, then he got comfortable. Then you see that dime that we pulled up on the screen to Kayshon Boutte at the end of the first half. You see where the potential comes from with Drake May. The offensive line's not good. He still fumbled. The second pick wasn't really his fault because it was a deflected pass and honestly a ridiculous catch on the other end. But you see the reasons why this could be a good team. And this is even with a bad offensive line. And the playmakers are very questionable when it comes to stemming across the NFL and what you expect for a rookie quarterback. But definitely Drake showed one of the reasons why he was third overall pick. I think that he still has a lot to go. He's still very raw, still has a lot of learning to do. But when you compare it to first overall, first starts for all the quarterbacks across the league, Drake's was arguably the best, right? When you compare it to Caleb's and JD5's and Bo Nix's, and granted, that was the first week of the season, so it is a little bit different, but he looked a lot better than Spencer Rattler did, especially in the second half. I think the question for you, Ray, and I do want your unbiased opinion on this, do you think that it was partially because the game was out of hand, or do you believe that Drake really did show out quite well? I thought he looked pretty good, but I also thought the game was a little bit out of hand as well.
Yeah, the game was definitely out of hand, but they're still heating them up. They're still sending blitzes. They're still sending pressure, and this is a regular season NFL game. It's not preseason, so he's not playing against the sixth stringer that's not going to make the team. I do believe that some of it was due to it being out of hand, but you still got to drop back. Your back foot's got to hit the ground. You got to fire the ball.
Yeah, it's a good throw.
You got to deliver accurate passes, and you got to make plays. He's going to have growing pains because, like you said, they don't have a running back that's very talented with Ramondre being hurt. There aren't a lot of talented outside wide receivers to go get it. Good to see Pop Douglas finally get back involved in the offense, and I do think with Drake May's history of throwing the ball to the slot receiver, a.k.a. Josh Downs, this is a big thing for Pop Douglas, one of the trusted Trinity players last year, has not come to fruition. That's because of Jacoby Brissett. But once that offensive environment changes, good things could happen. I would be pretty much all in on Pop Douglas moving forward. Good for Drake May. And yes, C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans did put foot in New England. Stroud was very efficient in this one, 3 touchdowns. Joe Mixon got it done. Looked fine coming back off of the high ankle sprain. Anything else you want to say about the Texans or the Patriots?
No, I think it's just when you look at this offense, with Nico Collins being out, both Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs were very startable in a good matchup, but very low in terms of fantasy value to be had because Stroud didn't even throw for 200 yards, did get the 3 touchdowns. But outside of that, I think it's just good that you can start Tank Dell, you can start Stephon Diggs, and then obviously Joe Mixon being back is great as well. But Ray, what's the next game we talk about? Oh, are we going to the Eagles?
Yeah.
We going to Jalen Hurts?
This is going to be a 2-minute clip. Do not, I repeat, this is my takeaway, okay? The Eagles offense is awful, Jay. This Eagles offense, this was one of my other assigned games, so I watched every snap. Eagles offense is awful. They tried to get Saquon Barkley going early, could not run against the Cleveland Browns. Absent this broken play and some A.J. Brown heaves, Jalen Hurts didn't do much. I know the box score, you look at it, did great for fantasy, you feel fine. The offense is not very good. As bad as Cleveland played, they were legitimately, look at the score. 20 to 13 with 6 minutes left in the game. Going into the fourth quarter, Jay, there were 88 plays run. Going into the fourth quarter, 88 plays run between both of these teams. 0 plays inside the red zone for either side. 88 plays going in the fourth quarter, 0 inside the red zone. The offenses stink. My biggest takeaway from Cleveland, do not start a pass catcher outside of David Njoku. And Nick Chubb, I don't care what the medical opinion or analysis is. I promise you, they are going to give him the ball as much as his knee can allow. I am going to fire Nick Chubb up off of a destroyed ACL with full confidence because they've got nobody else. Jerome Ford busted his hamstring up.
Yeah, he got hurt.
Pierre Strong was the best-looking running back for Cleveland. I am playing Nick Chubb. I talked about it with Dago last night. I don't know where I'm going to have him ranked, but he's going to be inside the top 20. And I know it normally takes a year off. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. They're 1-5. They've got no chance. It's going to be Nick Chubb season come week 7 for the Browns, man.
Yeah, and they got the Bengals this week, and we know what running backs have done to the Bengals this season. They're one of the best defenses, when it comes to rushing the football against them. Them and the Bills are right up there. But yeah, this game was disgusting. Kellen Moore, once again, Ray, ruining offenses across the NFL. We thought it was a Dak Prescott problem, but it was probably a Kellen Moore problem. Then he went to L.A. with Herbert. That didn't work out, and now he's with Jalen Hurts, and it's once again not working out. But I think it's been on Hurts as well. But A.J. Brown
was a beast. A.J. Brown is a beast. Unreal, he came right back and looked good, so it's good that A.J. Brown is back and getting it going. And y'all know, at this point, we got to do it for Joe every week. Where's my girl Joe at? I saw her in the chat earlier. I don't know. We got over 1,000 people watching.
She's been waiting.
Is Joe waiting? Is Joe waiting?
Oh, she's got to be waiting.
Let's talk about this one because JRich, if I told you, man, this, there were going to be 78 points scored. 78, okay? But Mike Evans, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, and Rashid Shaheed are going to combine for less than 120. Less than 120 yards between, let me say them names again. 78 points, Jordan Richards. Mike Evans, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. Combined less than 120 yards, Jay. Would you believe that? Would you believe it?
Probably not. Probably not.
And then your next thought will be, well, who the hell got all the points? Who did what? What happened? Jay, everything happened. I mean,
everything else happened. Yeah.
Everything happened, and so much did not happen in this matchup. Baker Mayfield. Let's pull up the box score. Baker, 24 for 36, 325, 4 TDs, 3 interceptions. Sean Tucker, not Rashad White, not Bucky Irving. Sean Tucker, 14 for 136 and 1. Bucky Irving, 14 for 81 and 1. Sterling Shepard, 4 for 31. Baker Mayfield, 3 for 29. Chris Godwin, trusted Trinity MVP right now. Chris Godwin, 13 targets, 11 receptions, 125 and 2. Sean Tucker, 3 for 56 and 1. Mike Evans, 2 for 34. Mike Evans, 2 for 34. Mike Evans, 2 for 34.
Why are you surprised?
Rich on the other side of the ball, Rashid Shaheed, 1 for 11. Olave, 1 for 5. We know he got hurt.
Concussion.
Like, this game was drunk as hell. Spencer Rattler, he looked okay. 243, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He looked okay in this one, but New Orleans got their shit kicked in 51-27. Jay, Sean Tucker is the name. Sean Tucker, this is, a couple years ago, he was viewed as one of the top running backs in the class. He had some health issues, I believe, with the heart. I think it was the heart with Sean Tucker, which caused him to fall. He looked fast. He looked fast, Jay. He looked good to
Ray,
me.
that reported 4-3 is showing up on the tape right now, isn't it? Sean Tucker doing it through the air, doing it on the ground late in the game. Joe is going crazy, I'm sure, all Sunday waiting for us to talk about Sean Tucker. Ray, like, honestly, you could make the case that Rachaad White is the worst running back on the roster. Like, you honestly could. The way that Sean Tucker's looked, and I think the thing that people aren't realizing is this is not just Sean Tucker's getting opportunity and this is the first time he's ever looked good. Like, for anyone who's watched his kickoff returns, he's breaking tackles and busting kickoff returns almost every single time. And you always bring up the analogy with David Johnson. Because that's how David Johnson got his start, was he was doing great on kick return and showing that he can break tackles in the open field. And this is kind of a similar trend for Sean Tucker. So I think Rachaad White's going to come back. But, man, it's crazy to think that they have Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker. But once White comes back, what does this offensive rotation look like? Because they need a running game, and it was probably the best it's looked in years in Tampa Bay. And, Baker throwing 3 picks in the second quarter. It is what it is.
It's okay. It's
but,
okay.
Mike Evans getting strapped up against the Saints. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, it's okay. Baker threw a bunch of picks, but you know what? We got the fantasy points out of that one. And, I always talk about the analogy and the parallels with David Johnson. Some of y'all may not have played fantasy football back then, but he was a special teams guy. He was a kick returner, continued to do well. They'd put him in spot opportunities. He'd take it to the house. I think what's going to end up happening is Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving, because he looked incredible too. There was one run.
Very good, yeah.
I mean, there was a run where he looked like Alvin Kamara. That just everything. It's one of the things, as we're trying to look ahead, Jay, and we're scouting these college players and these prospects, I'm trying to learn from past mistakes. And here's some of the things that I've just holistic positional things that I've learned. Quarterback, got to be able to throw over the middle of the field. If you're watching these quarterbacks in college and they are just terrified of the middle of the field, they can't. I'm just very weary. Got to get the ball out. You got to be able to deliver strikes over the middle of the field. Running backs, you cannot be a touch and fall back. I need you to be able to break tackles, make people miss, force missed tackles. Bucky Irving, I believe, was one of the best, if not the best, at missed tackles last year in college football, period. That's why Ashton Genty from Boise State is so good. He's making people miss. He's incredible at missed tackles. And at the receiver position, I'm done with manufactured, schemed-up wide receivers. If all you do in college is bubble screens and out-yak opponents, it's just probably not going to work. You need to do real routes. Sean Tucker can make people miss. He's got speed. He can force missed tackles. I think this is going to be a nasty 3-way running back committee. Sean Tucker shouldn't come off the field, nor should Bucky Irving. No. So what's going to happen when Rachaad White is back, I'm not sure. But both of those young running backs made the most of their opportunity. And if you got Bucky or Sean Tucker in seasonal leagues or in Dynasty, you should feel pretty good. As we talked about, Chris Godwin, trusted Trinity player 101, balling. Balling. Chris Godwin is awesome. Nothing really to take away from this one. Rashid Shaheed didn't do anything outside the punt return. Alvin Kamara got in the end zone, but not a lot of yards. This is what happens when you start a fourth-round pick at quarterback versus a team that's got a veteran players all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints are going to have Spencer Rattler for a while, and, we'll see what happens against Denver. It's probably not going to look good, but, in theory, it should be Rashid Shaheed and Alvin Kamara, and that's it, because that's what the team is. Ray, would you give a shout to Bub Means, who scored, and I believe had 8 targets in this game.
Yeah.
I think the only reason why you talk about him is because of the potential chemistry with Rattler, which we obviously saw in the touchdown, but these are guys that are running on the second unit consistently. And so there is going to be a bit of chemistry there. And when you look at the distribution of targets, it wasn't as much to the top guys because these guys don't play together in practice. It was Rattler throwing to the Cedric Wilsons and the Bub Meanses and the backup tight ends because those are the guys he's used to playing with. And so hopefully he can find some chemistry with Shaheed this week and they can figure some things out, especially with Olave out. But I think it'll be a tough sledding against Denver. Even with Surtain out, it's going to be a very difficult game, probably an ugly matchup, but we'll see what they can do kind of going forward. And I still think Spencer showed well on tape, but he definitely needs to improve a little bit. But it was his first start, so we'll give him some grace there.
All right, let's wrap up with this one. The Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. We got a lot of fantasy goodness. There goes your boy Kyle Pitts. I think he had 3 for 70 in this matchup. Although Kirk Cousins didn't go for 500 yards, very efficient. I don't know, didn't go for 500. But this defense, anybody matched up against Carolina, you start them all. You just start them. This is a pass and run funnel defense. Kyle Pitts got involved in the action. I think the big takeaway, though, people are excited. Bijan Robinson, it finally happened. JRich, it feels like it's been an eternity. But Bijan Robinson scored 2 touchdowns on the day. Really, really good fantasy performance from Bijan. He looked explosive in this matchup. At first, I was like, oh my gosh, this is not going to happen. We still have not gotten a big Bijan Robinson run, but 2 touchdowns. Are you done panicking about Bijan Robinson now?
Yeah, to some extent, right? This is what you need to see happen against the Carolina Panthers. Well, I mean, again, Ray, it's great when it's against Carolina, but next week when they play the Seahawks, he's going to have the same success. Then they got to play the Bucs and your Cowboys, the Saints, etc. So you just got to see it against some tougher opponents. But it was good to see. I think you could maybe make some questions as to the success of the Panthers, right? Because as you mentioned, Kirk Cousins wasn't great, and this is kind of what happened last year. All the running backs go crazy against Carolina, and you see Tyler Algier had a touchdown.
Yeah,
Bijan had 2.
Algier
he
was
actually had
like
more
a
yards.
Madman. Yeah, Algier was. I mean, this run right here, Jay. I mean, he is boom.
Beast.
I mean, he is just shoulders, people fighting, clawing. This is Algier at 18 for a $105 and 1. Drake London got involved in the action. The Atlanta Falcons at 4-2. I mean, this is kind of the offense that we wanted to see. Now, albeit we wanted Bijan to get 30 of those attempts and 30 of those opportunities, but Drake London's cooking, Cousins is cooking, Pitts is getting involved, Mooney's still involved. You've got 2 dope running backs. This is starting to turn into one of those offenses that we wanted. This is it. Here we go.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway in a game like this is, in some ways, Drake London. He still had 74 yards. He still scored, and he had 10 targets in a game where they didn't have to do a whole lot through the air. They were down a little bit early, but after they got up, they, of course, ran the hell out of the ball like every team does against Carolina. But London, once again, in a matchup where they didn't need to do a lot throwing the ball, was great once again for fantasy.
Oh, look at that. The old stuff is updated, man. Go to the site. Go to ddfantasyfootball.com. It's all updated right now, Jay. The Trinity for week 6. Just kind of looking at let's see what we got. We're at the end of the show anyway. Let's see. You already know who's at the top right. You know who that is, that red dot up there. That's Chris Godwin. 9-1, 35
Baller.
points. A.J. Brown right back to what he was doing.
Balling.
A.J. Brown. Who's this? Is that Evan Ingram? Evan Ingram in the mix.
Stealing
there
all
goes Drake
BTJ's
London.
targets.
Drake London, 8, 9, 7 on the week. McBride up there. Pop Douglas. Zay Flowers. Diggs and Deontay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Anything else from the Carolina side? Deontay Johnson. They're not going to. They should not go back to Bryce Young. The offense is moving with Andy Dalton. Carolina's defense is just bad. Carolina's defense is very, very bad. Very, very bad defense for the Panthers. I do not think they should make this rash decision to go back to Bryce Young right now. Let Andy Dalton continue to get the offensive players involved. We saw JT Sanders getting involved. He had 7 targets. I love Jatavian Sanders. I think he is a dynasty stash for the tight end position. 5 for 49 for JT. My big takeaway from Carolina, Xavier Legette looks like he will be a very good player for them in the future. And Chuba Hubbard is 100% going to get a contract from somebody next year. He is very good. Chuba Hubbard is a quality running back, and we've seen these Devin Singletaries and some of these cats get 1-2 year deals. I think Chuba Hubbard's going to command a nice little chunk of change in the offseason from a team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they manage Jonathan Brooks, knowing that Chuba Hubbard is playing well, right? And how do they work him into the offense and utilize their top draft pick? Everyone's talking about Jalen Coker because he finally ran ahead of Jonathan Mingo. I believe the snaps were 30-24, if I'm getting that correctly. That was Deepro who posted that if you want to check out the snap numbers. But yeah, so Coker finally ran ahead of Mingo, which was a surprise for a lot of people, but that's pretty much it. Leggett got in the end zone, which was great. JT Sanders was great, and then Deontay once again leading the way. Should be more than fine going forward. Ray, do you think there's any chance he gets traded? Because there was those rumors a bit last week. Deontay. There was rumors a bit last week about him getting traded potentially ahead of the deadline.
I think there are a couple of teams. The Panthers are 1-5. If Deontay's on this 1 year deal, there's no reason he should be on the team. Talking about Jonathan Brooks, here's my take, man. Chuba Hubbard's on the last year of his deal. Brooks is a very talented running back coming back from a very serious knee injury. The Panthers are out of it. I'm sure they want to see what they have in him, but I would not be rushing to just throw Jonathan Brooks out there for a lost team, for a lost season.
Yeah, it's over, right?
This could be, I could 100% see Carolina nuking this entire operation after this season. Deontay shouldn't be a Panther after the trade deadline. Amari Cooper shouldn't be a Brown going out of the trade deadline at 1-5. There should be a couple of teams that need to be in the market to make a move, but you just don't see this shit happen in the NFL like you do in MLB, like you do in the NBA. NBA, you get Kevin Durant and Kyrie. You get the megastars traded left and right. You don't see that happen. You just don't see that happen in the NFL. So is Deontay or Devontae or these Tays getting traded? Probably not, man. Probably not. Yeah. And you already see the Raiders walking back the Adams stuff. Now he could potentially want to. You just don't see it happen in the NFL to that degree. Can ETN move at all? Like be moved, get moved?
He can be moved, but he probably won't be.
But who's,
And Trevor's not going to sign off on it, right?
And y'all got to understand, like, moving ETN does what for the Jags? Now, they move ETN and Bigsby gets hurt. Now what? Now you got to roll out Dearness Johnson every single week. It's just, you got to have contingencies behind the thing that you want to trade, and you just don't see that happen a ton in the NFL. Yeah, Joe, Pop Douglas, that usage score this week was very high for Pop Douglas, and we'll do some different things. I got some plans for those usage videos this week. I might do individual player profiles and really break down the film, what they're doing, all that other good shit, Jay. Hit the music. We about to get out of here, man. Hit the music. Appreciate everybody being in here. 1,149 eyeballs on the channel, man. Glad y'all remembered. I was out all last week. Took the kids down to Disney World and had to turn around because Hurricane Milton said, get y'all asses on up out of here. Anybody that is here from the state of Florida or tapped in from one of the affected areas, sincerely, my heart goes out to you. Devastation down there with the hurricanes. Hopefully this show brought you a little entertainment, a little bit of life on this Monday. I want to speak that into y'all this week. I want everybody out there that watches this show live, especially y'all, the family that watch live, to have a fantastic week. For those of you that are going to follow up and catch this down the line, hope you have a great week as well. JRich and I are back on schedule. Make sure you wake up 9 a.m. on Wednesday, 9 a.m. on Friday. We got content all week. Scott Connor, Dynasty Theory, All Gas Trade Show, Off the Line Fantasy Football Overreaction Podcast, Jeff Mueller, Gump with the college football shit, man. We got it popping at DD, and y'all know you got to trust that Trinity. So go to ddfantasyfootball.com, sign up for the tool, come join the community. Have a great week. Jay, that's it. We out of this thing, baby. That was a good outro.
That was really good. Look at you.
Yeah, I got to toot my own horn. All right, family, we out. Peace.